Hi Flosstube, welcome to my very first Flosstube episode here on my new channel, the 20-Minute Stitcher. My name is Heather, and in this video I will share a little bit about myself and why I stitch and what I'm doing here on this channel. I'll share a few of my recently finished projects and obviously what I am working on now. So since this is my very first Flosstube video, I figure I owe it to you all to tell you a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Heather. I live in Ohio, here in the United States, in the Cleveland area. I have two children, a high school freshman and a fourth grader. I am a single mom, recently divorced. And so I'm incredibly busy taking care of my children. I do work full-time as well, in a pretty demanding but amazing job that I love. We have 4 cats. It's a lot. We have 2 brothers and 2 sisters who are add a lot of fur and fun to our family. I have been cross-stitching since I was a little girl. I think my very first memory of when I first tried to cross stitch was, I don't remember exactly how old I was. I want to say I was maybe 6-ish. My mom was cross stitching something. I thought it was really cool. And as my memory serves, I decided I wanted to cross stitch something as well. And so I decided I was going to stitch a Mother's Day picture for my grandmothers. And I remember drawing a picture that my mother then charted for me. And I started to stitch. Now the picture was overly ambitious. I mean, I was only 6. It wasn't great art, but there were large spaces of like one color, and I was 6. And so I don't think I ever finished either one of those pieces, but the interest in stitching was born. And I remember my mom, I think my next project was a small Christmas ornament. And then I started kind of stitching from there. Like so many people who started stitching young, I stopped in college and grad school, just was busy with other things. I stitched off and on when my children were young, but I really have picked it back up again with a vengeance in the last few years. It has changed so much since when I was young. And when I was growing up, I was always the only person I knew who stitched other than my mom, right? None of my friends cross-stitched. So it was always sort of a quiet thing for me and not a social thing for me. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to Flosstube and the communities around cross-stitch that exist now, the very enabling community around cross-stitch. I've spent a lot more money on cross-stitch in the last couple of years than I probably have in the previous 10 combined. But I love it. I love the community. As I mentioned, I am somewhat recently divorced, and so learning how to put myself back out in the world and make new friends and discover who I am as a single parent, which is both scary and exciting, much like this Flosstube video. So that is a little bit about me and my stitching history, how I came to stitching. Why this Flosstube? I have thought about doing it for a really long time. I've been pulled to this, and I've kind of kept resisting it because there are so many great Flosstubers out there, and I felt like I didn't really have anything to add. But then one day it hit me. I always end up having to watch my favorite Flosstubers in little increments, 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there, because I rarely have 45 minutes to an hour or more all in one sitting to be able to sit and watch my favorite Flosstubers. So that was the birth of the 20-Minute Stitcher, because in reality, in my life, most of my stitching gets done in the 20 minutes in the morning between when my daughter gets on the bus for her school day and when I need to go make sure that my son is awake and up and getting ready for his school day. So I thought, well, gosh, there might be other people out there who feel like, well, I don't have the time to pick up this craft because I don't have large blocks of time to sit and stitch on projects. I'm telling you, you don't need them. I get a lot done in 20 minutes, 5 days a week. And then I usually have time to find an hour or two, sometimes longer over the weekend, to stitch a little more intensively. But most of what I will be showing you is stuff that has been stitched in 20-minute, 30-minute increments, because that's really all the time I have most days, especially during the school week and the work week, to be able to stitch. And I figure I can show you that in a video of 20 minutes or less. So if you're busy, want to watch a Flosstube, but don't have the time in the moment to commit to something longer, I hope maybe you'll think about clicking on my channel as I add more content, because my goal will be to keep all of my videos at about 20 minutes in length. So that is why I am the 20-minute stitcher. I plan to post a video every other week, sometimes more frequently if I've gotten more done. But as I mentioned, I tend to work in kind of small bursts, and so I don't really know that I will have enough done on pieces to warrant a weekly video, but we'll see. I'll adjust. But my plan right now is to post every other week, so every 2 weeks. So that's a bit about me. If you have questions or would like to learn more, I'm eager to become part of this community in a fuller way and eager to get to know the people who choose to watch my videos. So please feel free to post a comment and I will do my best to reply. I stitch all different kinds of patterns. I'm really drawn to lots of different sorts of things, as you'll see when we go through my whips. But I thought I would start with a few of my recently finished projects, just because sometimes those are more interesting, right? So the first one I have to show you is by Designs by Lisa, and it is finished but not fully finished yet, and it is called You Had Me at Meow, which obviously, as you can see with 4 cats in my household, we like cats. All 4 are adopted from shelters. So we really do love our kitty cats and the craziness that they add to our already busy lives. The next one that I have to show you with a recent finish is The Black Cat by Bent Creek. And he was just a fun, simple little autumn stitch. I haven't figured out how I'm going to finish this one yet, if I'm going to frame him or do something a little different with him. And I have no idea what I stitched this on. Fabric of some sort. So an even weave, I know that. And then the last one that was recently finished is, and I forgot to look up the designer. I will put it in the description. It is called Carpe All the DMs, and it was from a designer on Etsy. I stitched this for my daughter as a Christmas gift for a few different reasons. One, she loves Dead Poets Society, and obviously Carpe Diem was sort of the mantra, the motto throughout that movie. But also, as she transitioned to high school this year, there were some moments of some high anxiety and some uncertainty as she found her footing. And so it was just another way for me to pay homage to one of her favorite movies, but also remind her that life is worth seizing every day. So those are 3 of my recently finished projects. I forgot to mention earlier, one of the other reasons I decided to start a Flosstube is I have so many awesome projects, like so many of us do. There are so many great patterns and great designers out there, so many more than when I first started learning to stitch. And like most of you, I'm sure, right, I want all the patterns. But I also have tended to be a very monogamous stitcher. I will pick one pattern and I will just stick with it, right? Which is fine, obviously. There are lots of monogamous stitchers out there, and if you're really enjoying what you're stitching on, then why not, right? But what I have sometimes struggled with is if a project misbehaves and has to go in timeout, or if I just get bored with it, then I won't stitch on anything at all. So I have several whips, and a lot of them haven't been touched in a while. So that actually was another reason why I decided to do this Flosstube, as a way to challenge myself to step outside my box of tending to stick with only one pattern until it's done, and do more than just the one thing. So I have several whips to show you, and so we'll just get right into it. So the first, and you will see I use a variety of different types of project bags, including Ziploc bags. This is what I call my work stitch. So I tend to have one smaller project that I actually tend to leave in my office at work, when I'm in the office, and to stitch on during lunch, or sometimes I am just taking a break, right, and want to stitch. So this is my work stitch. It is called Peace, Love, and a Cure by Lizzie Kate. It's an older pattern. I've had this one for a really, really long time. but it was one that they designed where profits went to the Susan G. Komen for the Cure Foundation. And it is special to me now. It wasn't at the time I bought it, but I actually am a breast cancer survivor. So it's a little extra special to me now. I don't even remember when I started this, but you can see I have the word love done, and I have, I think, all but like a few stitches of the peace symbol done. I don't even remember when I started to stitch this. I know I started it after I had started my cancer treatment. And my initial intention was to stitch it for the infusion center where I went for my chemo. They often had little things that patients had designed or made or drawn or colored that they would hang up. So I was originally stitching it as a gift to the nurses who worked there because they are all amazing. But then I didn't finish it. And then my doctor switched hospital systems, so I don't go to that infusion. Well, I don't go to any infusion center anymore, thank goodness. And hopefully we'll never have to again. But anywho, so I'm just stitching that, I guess, for me now, which is nice because I don't often stitch for me. The next one I am working on is one that will go in my office. This one is for me. As I mentioned before, I love my job, but man, do I have a lot of meetings. Lots and lots of meetings in my job. And I also am a big fan of the television show Schitt's Creek. So I saw this on Etsy, and let me find in my little notebook who the designer is. But it is a quote from Moira Rose, "I'm positively bedeviled with meetings." And it is by Casey Craft and Stitch Co. on Etsy. I am stitching it on a 28 count Cashel Antique White. A lot of my fabric actually came from my mom's fabric stash, just to save money. She wasn't using it, so I haven't gotten very far on this. I started this when we were on vacation in November, and I haven't picked it up since then, but I'm getting ready to move into a new office at work, so I'm going to pick this back up because I want to have it done for my new office. And the needle minder is from Mad for Minders on Etsy, and it's a take on the Police song, Every Breath You Take, with the little cat watching you, which is very true. I frequently have to shoo my cats away from my floss when I am stitching. So that is Positively Bedeviled. The next one is a stitch along. I love Disney. The next one is a stitch along, The Cats of Disney Stitch Along by Abby Sue Designs on Facebook and Etsy. It's done. It started in August or September, I think. And I had every intention of finishing it on time, and best of intentions, I got distracted with other things. So I only have Tigger mostly done. The cross stitch is all done. I'm working on the back stitch. There are 25 or 30 cats. So I clearly still have a long way to go on this. But I think I'm going to try and challenge myself to get a cat a week done. Moving forward. So hopefully I will have more progress to show you on this moving forward. And that is just on like a 28 count bone Jobelin. The project bag is actually from Simon Says Stamps. My mom makes beautiful handmade cards, and she purchases a lot of her materials from Simon Says Stamps, and they arrive in these great project bags. So I use them because she gives them to me. The next one is a really cool pattern, and one that's very outside of what I normally am drawn to, but I am part of a Discord server for cross stitchers, and a group of us are doing this as a stitch along. I feel like I should say a group of them because I haven't touched this in a while, but it's called Una Buena Piezza, and it's called Rainbow Garden. The designer is Una Buena Piezza on Etsy. And I was drawn to it just because it's fun. It's, kind of got the colors of the rainbow, but and it's just kind of quirky. It's pretty, but then when you look at it more closely, there's just all kinds of fun stuff hidden in there. There are little mushrooms and little cats and little keys and little ghosts, and just it's fun and cute. So I have this in a little project bag from Just Crossing Stitches. Which is on Etsy as well, or justcrossingstitches.com. And this is another one I have not gotten very far on. I've done a few flowers, and that's about it. This is the first project I have ever done on black fabric, and this is what is this, a 32 count black Lugana. And it's slow going because I've never stitched on black before, black fabric, and it is definitely, it takes a while for your eyes to adjust to that. If anyone has tricks for stitching on black fabric, I'm happy to hear them. I have a little light box that I'm thinking about maybe putting on my lap to shine the light under. I don't know, that might be a hassle. My next pattern is called, oh, I forgot to put my picture back in the bag. My next pattern is called A Murder, and it is by Witch's Garden Crafts on Etsy. So this is a picture of the final pattern. This is actually what I've been spending all of my time on lately. It has really gotten really fun, and so I'm kind of stitching only on this right now. It's still in the Q-snap, but you can see I actually have a good chunk of it done. I have the border all done except for the yellow. The lettering, the tree is almost done. This actually, if I can get some time tonight to really stitch on this, and tomorrow I might be able to finish it, which would be awesome to be able to have a finish for you guys on my very second video. I'm using all the called for colors. Actually, I haven't mentioned that at all, but I think on every pattern I've shown you today, I'm using all of the called for colors, or the DMC equivalents if the pattern called for something else, you know, an overdyed floss or something that I didn't have the color for. So this is super fun. This is just going to be a Halloween decoration in our house, I think. I'll probably frame it but I might make it into a pillow. I have to decide. I guess I'll see what it tells me it wants to be when I am done stitching it. But it's super fun. I will say the pattern calls for red French knots for the crow's eyes. I think I have some leftover red Mill Hill beads from a Christmas stocking that I stitched last year. I might do those instead. I think that might be kind of cool. So again, we'll just see when I'm done. So that is, and this is just being stitched on a 14 count Aida in gray from Zweigert. So very simple. And it is in my Halloween project bag. Oops, I'm catching the fabric here. What is this by? Sherry So Sweet, which is one that I purchased on Etsy. It has cute sort of witchy bat fabric, and here I should show you. Let me take everything out so you can see, because the inside panel is really cool and decorative. So yeah, it's just a really cool panel on the inside. So I love this bag. I love Halloween. Actually, what's funny, I actually don't love Halloween. Halloween was my least favorite holiday until I had children. And now I find it to be lots of fun. But I've always loved the Halloween cross-stitch patterns. All right, last pattern. This is one I actually started yesterday, and I am really eager to share this with you for a very not good reason. Now, I'm not an overly political person, but today is February 26th, 2022, and in the news, obviously right now, is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And this was shared with me. A designer at the Point Studio is the designer of this pattern, and they created as a free Ukraine Solidarity stitch along. It is available on their website. I will link it in the description below. But it is it's basically meant to be like a contemplative stitch along. They're calling it the Solidarity Stitch Along. So the idea behind it is, as I said, it's a free pattern, which is why I'm showing the pattern, and I will stitch it, or I will link it below. As you stitch, the designer is just asking that you send good thoughts out into the world for the people of Ukraine who are suffering right now. So I started it last night. I didn't get very far because I did stitch much more slowly than usual because I was trying to be very thoughtful and intentional as I stitched. A cool thing about this pattern, if you go to the website, you'll see the story. The symbols chosen, the colors chosen are all symbolic and meaningful in some way. They are based on Ukrainian folklore. Ukraine, Eastern Europe in general, obviously has a very rich history of embroidery and needlework, and like much of the world. But so it's just I was drawn to it as a way. There's very little I can do to help them, unfortunately, obviously, from Ohio. And I do believe in the power of prayer and in the power of good intentions. So I am stitching this on a 32 count Lugana in frost from Bestitch Me. And like I said, this is all I got, the start of the cross, because like I said, I am stitching this. This is going more slowly because I am trying to be very intentional and thoughtful with every stitch. So those are all of my works in progress. I anticipate moving forward, I'll only show you the ones that I've actually worked on and made some improvement on. The last thing I have is some haul. I did actually visit my local needlework shop earlier today because I was kitting up a couple of additional patterns, right? Like I need any more after all the ones I just showed you. But a couple more smaller ones that I can work on quickly when I'm out and about. So I went there to pick up some floss, and then there was one pattern that I had ordered before the holidays that finally arrived and that I was able to pick up. I actually should mention I am on a Stitch from Stash right now, so I've sort of set a rule for myself that I'm not, other than my Fabric of the Month Club with Bestitch Me, I'm not buying new things until StitchCon in June, and the money that I normally would spend buying cross-stitch stuff I'm setting aside to take with me to StitchCon so that I can enjoy all the fun there. But I did need some floss and that pattern I had ordered before the holidays, though I did break my rule for one other pattern, but that's okay. It's not a hard and fast rule. No one's going to jail for it. So I have a couple of patterns. I have a Bent Creek pattern and a Lizzie Kate pattern, an autumn pattern and a Christmas pattern that I needed some of the overdyed floss for. So I bought some floss to finish up to round out my missing. So I have Classic Colorworks in Fresh Brew, Autumn Spice, Colonial Copper, and I think that was my last. Yeah, it's my last Classic Colorworks. All the others are Weeks Dye Works. Tatanka, I don't know how that's pronounced, but I got that. And Bright Leaf, Lancaster Red and Bright Leaf. Sorry, I was off camera there. Chestnut, nice rich brown, and Holly. And then the pattern that I had on order from me was Fox and Rabbit Designs Cat Magic. And the one I sort of broke my rule for because it was super cute and you can tell I like cats is Kit and Bixby Haunted Fur. So that is my very first video. Looks like I'm coming in at about 23 minutes. That's not too bad, right? I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked what you saw. I hope you'll come back again when I post again. I would love for you to subscribe and ring the bell and like the video if you liked it. And I look forward to getting to know more of you and being part of this Flosstube community. Remember that even just a little bit of time is enough to make progress, and 50 stitches a day is 250 stitches in a work week or a school week, and you can get your projects done. And I hope you enjoyed. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.